Oh my goodness, guys. Don't get mad. I am not saying that she is not innocent. I'm not saying that this isn't a frame job, because you cannot convince me otherwise that it is. The HealthFit app, when I saw her tail light intact at 5 a.m. and the footprints at her tail light between 6:30 and 7 that she did not make based on videos that I saw with my own eyes, and then at 8:23 a.m. the cop dash cam shows that that taillight was missing, and the HealthFit app showing that he was in that house, I'm absolutely convinced this is a frame job. However, Jackson, oh my goodness, I am a little miffed with him right now. He did, in fact, mislead people about these FBI agent, DOJ experts. So these expert witnesses that came here today, their report is still helpful depending on how the questions go. So this is what has been presented to the media. If you watch the pretrial hearings of where he presented what this independent agent that wasn't hired by him, it wasn't hired by the Commonwealth, it wasn't hired by the defense, that basically the FBI and the Department of Justice hired the top experts in the country, and they really are good experts. I mean, they got the best that they could get, and that's the two federal agencies hired the best. I mean, anyways, so, but what they presented in the pretrial hearing was that they're going to testify that it is not consistent that that car caused his injuries. That's exactly what he said. Now, there was three things that these expert witnesses could conclude. One, that there's no way, actually four, take it back. One, they can conclude, yes, without a doubt, it caused it. Or they could say, without a doubt, it did not cause those injuries. Or they could say, it's not consistent that those caused the injuries, which means it's just unlikely. Then you have, well, there's just not enough evidence to make that determination, which is basically what the autopsy, the coroner, or whoever did the report saying that the death was undetermined. And the prosecutions, even if the coroner doesn't have the ability to determine what caused the death, the state can make their own theory based on, the evidence that they have. Because coroners, they don't investigate. They just look at the evidence before them on a body. And if they can't determine what caused their death, other than it's obvious a homicide, then, that's what the police and state do. They try to figure out how, there's a lot of times they prosecute people without a body. The body's never been found and people get convicted for murder. They don't have to have the type of, death that caused the death to to prosecute. And that's just history of our country. So you have Jackson saying, oh, well, they're saying it's not consistent. So that is a pretty strong evidence. Now, they still have the HealthFit app, but I don't think they're going to be allowed that, because they're just being so restrictive with this defense and completely unfair and unbiased. But I'm a little miffed that they came in here to the court and to the media, to the world, and told them specific things. Now, maybe there's another report that they said something to that line, but the report that was revealed today during voir dire, after the witnesses left and they were arguing before the judge on whether or not they should be allowed, they said, and I'm going to show you what exactly the report is going to say. Look. Boom. There's insufficient evidence to determine the cause of his injuries. That is not what he presented at pretrial, to say that it's inconsistent that car caused that injury. That's not the same thing as there's not enough evidence. They cannot say that it's not consistent because there's not enough evidence. So when this guy, this expert witness, got on the stand, Lally crossed him, and he asked him if his scope of what he was allowed to review was limited, and basically Jackson didn't follow through. Because when Lally got up there, he's trying to argue that his scope is limited, so he couldn't even make, like, his testimony is not going to be valuable because, first of all, he didn't have everything that the state has, so he's not even able to make a determination because he's saying there's not enough evidence to make a determination, which could, in a sense, be helpful for the defense by saying, see, they're not able to make a determination, so how are you making a determination? This is where Lally's going to come in and say, well, they were limited on what they were able to review. We were not. So that's where I believe Lally started shifting, because he was adamantly against allowing these guys in. But after he was able to cross him a little bit, and he thought, oh, okay, I might be able to work this. So he's talking to the guy, and he's asking him if he's going to be, how will he respond when he asks him, you know, about being limited. Because a good answer, if you know, if he was prepared, but of course he couldn't be because he wasn't allowed to speak to the guy. He just met him for the first time today or whatever. But the guy could say, well, you know, I have enough evidence to know that there just isn't enough evidence to make that kind of determination. He could have clarified a little better. Jackson did not, you know, rebut. He didn't come back and say, do you think that you had enough evidence that you need to make a determination? Do you think there was anything missing? They kind of tiptoed around that, like he was trying to say that, you know, they wouldn't make a determination, I don't believe, if there wasn't enough evidence to make a conclusion. If they felt they needed more evidence or there was something missing, and he kind of hinted at that it was kind of open-ended, but it just was really vague how, and Jackson just didn't clarify that. You know, if he would have asked the guy, now, do you think there's anything missing that could have helped you make a determination? That if you know, if we can help you, get you anything that you need, do you think there's anything missing? But he didn't. And Lally will get him on the stand, if he's even allowed, and he will say, you know, did you have this? Did you have this? Because he went over the 14 items that they had to review. And he got them to say on the record that this is all they had. These are the things that they used to determine stuff. And I'm telling you right now, Lally's going to say, oh, well, we have way more than 14 items. So when he gets them on the stand, Lally will say, well, did you have this in your analysis? 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 And if he says, no, I didn't have that, no, I didn't have that, no, and I didn't have that, then he'll say, okay, now he may go, well, would this, this, and this have changed your mind? That'll be a big risk, because the guy may say, well, I can't, you know, just make that off the top of my cuff and say that. Or he could say, oh, no, that wouldn't make any difference, right? Or he can just leave that as it is and just tell the jury in closing, well, they bring these people in with limited evidence, and we have all this other evidence, and then they make their conclusion, okay, which doesn't say that our conclusion is wrong. It just says that they don't have enough evidence to make the determination. This is not good, people. This is not good. And I don't like that Jackson said that they specifically said it's not consistent, that it caused that injury. I'm a little miffed. Don't lie to me, right? I already know that these guys are corrupt. I already know that. You know what I'm saying? But unless there's another report in there that does say that, you know, but this is a specific report. There was 4 of them. So this specific one, specifically about the injuries, they're saying that they can't make a determination, which is, it's a little bit helpful, but it's just not as strong as they presented it. Now, if they have another report that does say that it's not consistent, then that would be helpful. But I think Lally he started shifting and acting like he was okay so long as, you know, but the way that judge treated that female doctor, like she was a gold mine that just popped up. And here's the thing, Jackson failed her, because He should have already had expert witnesses about these dog bites. For crying out loud, Millingly Little's channel had a former cop. I think he would have qualified as an expert. Just maybe he doesn't have a bunch of degrees, but he would, because of his expertise, because he is somebody who trains dogs specifically to bite, has seen thousands of bites. I mean, I felt like, you know, they could have called him. You know, there's different things that qualify people from being expert witnesses. And generally, when it comes to the human anatomy, they generally like you to have a medical degree. But if you're somebody that deals specifically with dog bites and you teach dogs to bite, and you have specifically worked with dog bite cases, I mean, I felt like that guy alone he would have been sufficient. That could have qualified to expect. But I don't know, because he was saying there's very few people. He hadn't even heard of this person. You know, so I think that he could argue that, well, you know, we didn't know of anybody that we could call. She just showed up. Because sometimes during the middle of trial, if something happens, some kind of evidence or something pops up, it can be allowed, even though it's past time of discovery, if there was no possible way that they could have known about, you know, that evidence prior to. Which in this particular case, I mean, I think he has an argument with that, because he didn't know about her. There are very few people who specifically have the training and expertise that she does. Anyway, so she made herself known through somebody that is at a DA's office that he happens to know back in LA. And so she made herself known and she offered her services. But this judge, I feel like there's no way that she wants this person to testify. And she was already biased because she impounded animal control records. She's very well aware that there was animal control history. So when I showed the video earlier, when she asked that doctor, she accused her. She didn't ask her. She said, I have received information that you have read Chloe's dog bite history. And I'm like, okay, you just told the world that Chloe has a dog bite history, that there's reports of that. And the fact that there was 2 people that was allegedly bitten by that dog. There was hospital records, and they impounded the animal control records so that the public could know about it. So if she's willing to do something is that biased, to impound animal control records and block the defense, not even allow them to impeach, which is criminal to suborn perjury. You have the record. You know, she's already confessed to the world that she knew about in my opinion, animal bite history, and she's not allowing them to impeach the Alberts, who said there was no incidents or allegations or anything of that dog biting anybody. It attacked another dog. So, yeah, there are records. She knows it. So that's why I kept telling people not to be negative, and I'm praying, you know, Lord, just, you know, move a mountain here. Let this doctor testify, because this judge has allowed other people, and he did argue that, and I thought he argued it pretty good, about the fact that you have this trooper, Paul, talking about those marks, and he's not medically trained. He has an associate's degree. Not that associate's degree is nothing. It's just not nothing when it comes to expertise, okay? And, you know, so and then you had other people testifying who do not have the expertise to do that, and they're using bunk experts for the state. They're not qualified. So the feds sending in their experts shows them what experts really look like, right? These guys were top notch, right? They were fantastic experts that the feds brought in. It's just unfortunate that they limited their scope. Now, I think that if they would said, hey, if you need anything, you know, but they took everything that was public record. They took everything that the state had, everything that the defense had. So I think that everything, as far as I know, everything they have should have been available for them to make the same determination, or, you know, to have the same evidence that the state has. But I'm telling you now, if that expert's allowed, that's what Lowley's going to do. He's going to present, you know, that they were limited. And if he can point out even a couple things that they were not allowed to review in their analysis, then he can be able to say to the jury that their analysis doesn't count, that there's insufficient evidence because we have all the evidence and they didn't, because they were restricted. I mean, I'm just telling you. And Lowley knows that game because he plays that game. He played that game with Miss Hyde very severely limiting her ability to analyze, so she can ramble on about how she manipulated tabs and did this and that and attack Celebrite, who, by the way, the feds use. You know, but what he doesn't talk about through this entire trial, unless I've missed it, I've listened every day, and I'm telling you now, I've even listened to the pretrial hearings, and I'm telling you now, he has not mentioned one iota about the Health Fit app. And so it's sad. I don't think that's going to be allowed, because if it was going to be allowed, then Lowley would be attacking it. And that's very sad, because that's the very piece of evidence that's stronger than anything and everything that this case has, because it tells the story. Because the technology is so far advanced now that when they arrived at that house, it showed when they were on the block but had not yet arrived, and that showed exactly when they did arrive, because it had the exact coordinates. Every single address has exact coordinates. So it showed that he arrived at that address, and he did not leave that address. He never left that address. And when he got out of the car, the time that he arrived, he walked 267 steps. Then during that course of 267 steps that he was walking, he was going up and down flights of stairs. And then 7.5 minutes passed, and then he walked 36 more steps. That Health Fit app is, to me, like having a video of somebody that maybe you can't see who they are, but you can definitely tell that somebody's being killed. And that's, to me, that's what, just metaphorically speaking, that's what it's equivalent to. You know it's not her, because she's left. At that time, her car is leaving, and she's not there while he's walking around. So that Health Fit app is the conclusion. You don't need anything else but that Health Fit app. And I don't understand why Jackson's not talking about it, and that Lowley is not attacking it, unless he's just avoiding it and just hoping that by everything that he presents is just going to drown that little piece out. But I'm telling you right now, that Health Fit app is just something that it just sticks. When people hear about it, they're like, what? You can't get over it. I can't get past it. I cannot get past the Health Fit app. I'm just like, oh my gosh. The Health Fit app it's just like DNA. It's like, I don't care how bad it looks for anybody. I don't care what crappy things that they've done. I don't care what crappy things that they have said. On either side, the Health Fit app is the story of John O'Keefe, and where he was and where he wasn't on that night that he was murdered. And so, but Jackson is not, I'm just like, Lowley, on that same hearing that he's sitting there saying that, oh, they're going to say that it's not consistent. And he very clearly said that that car did not hit him, and he did not hit that car. And they did not say that, not in this report that he shared today. But at the same time, Lowley's up there saying, oh, it's just their reports are consistent with ours. Well, that certainly wasn't true. I mean, you know, oh my word, this poor family back there, they just put their entire trust in the state, and then people are hating on them because, you know, this is their loved one, and just talking horrible about him. I have been I've felt frustrated with them sometimes. I felt like they threw her under the bus because, you know, they have law enforcement in their family, and they, you know, there's just conservative people. They're just like that. They just trust law enforcement, and it's sad. There's a lot of vulnerable and gullible people, and I'll be honest with you, I grew up in a military family. I served in the military, and I was just this, you know, I had no idea. I was completely clueless at the amount of corruption in our country. I mean, I really had no idea. And it wasn't because I was dumb, you know, and then I just, you know, I figured it out in life, though, you know, and especially when I started, you know, studying law and and reading a whole bunch of cases, it really opened my eyeballs to the amount of corruption in our country. But, you know, I'm just saying, you can't hate on those people because they trust. I mean, you have so many people that's involved in this conspiracy. You have the people that was close to John, and you have the cops, and then you have these bunk experts that they hire, and they're all ganged up on her. I mean, I can understand how they're deceived. I can understand it. So people just need to have compassion. So for somebody to go around and call them names and say horrible things to them, that's just wrong. Sorry that it is. So I just pray for them that they will. I felt like I was watching, like it seemed like they were really listening. They weren't so much impressed by the first lady, you know. But like that second guy, I mean, those two FBI Department of Justice who also testify for prosecution as well, I felt like they were at least listening. And I just, pray for them so that they can really see the truth. And I don't know what they know about the Health Fed app. I don't know how if they do know about the Health Fed app, how they can not think that that is just a big red flag that they're lying. But anyways, so Jackson, I hope that there's another report in there that actually says what you said, because if there's not, I don't appreciate being lied to. And I'm just saying, I'm not here for one side or the other. I'm here for truth. And that's what I stand for. And when I see people doing things with the law and they're hurting not just her, but other people. This isn't just about this case. If they're able to do this to her, who's got a pretty good amount of support to get the good legal team and experts, then, oh wow, what are they doing to other people? That's like how I look at it, and I can't imagine what it's like for her being innocent, having to just sit there with the entire family of the person that she loved behind her, not supporting her. It's just so sad. It's so sad. And I pray that maybe when they do see the truth, that maybe they will, reconcile to her or something. I hope there will be forgiveness, but I don't believe she killed that man. The Health Fit app says she didn't. So anyways, just because there's significant evidence to show that, especially the Health Fit app, that they're lying and all the other stuff that they did, it doesn't mean that Jackson is perfect, and you can't worship him because he's a celebrity attorney or whatnot. Call wrong for wrong and right for right, and he was wrong. If there's no report, according to what it says today, says there's insufficient evidence to determine the cause. That's not the same thing as it's inconsistent that car caused that injury. That's exactly what he said. And if you go back and you listen to that hearing, he said that car, they're going to say that car did not hit him and he did not hit that car. That's what he said. And that's not what this report said at all. It's still helpful though, but man, don't lie.